My name's Yeshua Carter. If you don't mind, I'm going to share a brief slide deck just to take you through. Pre-warning, my accent, as you can tell already, I'm from Birmingham. It can get quite strong. So if you can't understand anything that I'm saying, feel free just to shout out and be like, Yeshua, please slow down by at least 100%. All right. So let me get my slide deck up. Just pre-warning, I won't be able to see too much faces, but hopefully you can see the screen. So yeah, by way of introduction, my name is Yeshua Carter. If this was actually a few weeks ago, I would have been introducing myself as a consultant at EY, running a side of desk program called EY Outreach. But actually, in my current space now, I've been blessed with the opportunity to work full time on an initiative that I created in my apprenticeship days called EY Outreach. I am working on that for 6 months, helping build it into more of a integral part of the business. But I will, for those who are thinking, what is EY Outreach? I will provide a bit more contextual insight into that very shortly. So just for the sake of agenda, I'm going to give you a brief introduction into who I am, what EY Outreach is, and how we are currently working in collaboration, doing an integrated partnership with Birmingham City Council and West Midlands Police. So I'm gonna do a bit of story time. So I want everybody to have their creative caps on. Hopefully you can see the images that fly through my head as I speak. So by way of introduction, I think it's always good to break the ice, let you know about myself. So as I already said, I'm from Birmingham. A bit about myself. So I've just got like a so many different images. I just thought I'd just plaster them on the screen just to kind of give you a bit of insight into my personal life. So first and foremost, I'm 24 years old. I've been in EY for 4 years and 11 months. Yes, I've been counting. I actually started as an apprentice at the age of 19, just before my 20th birthday. And over the years have kind of understood what I would determine to be my niche and what I love doing and what I'm good at, and that has come to be actually creative intervention and working with young people around social mobility. So a lot of the images that you can see before you are some of the awards that I've won from some of the work that I've been able to do. So I've been blessed with the opportunity to win an award from the Management Consultancy Association, Rising Star, last Monday, and for some of the EY Outreach work, the Black Talent Awards, the PA Awards. Outside of work, I co-lead, or I should say I lead an initiative called Dear Youngers, which is a part of a charity called First Class Foundation, which ultimately aims to provide psychologically informed spaces to support young men from the Black community in building their resilience and actually connecting them to external opportunities. So some of the clients that I've worked with are NHS and Commonwealth Games. So I designed an initiative to support young people in mental health, in secure and complex care around mental health, utilizing sports intervention as a tool. We connected young people from communities into these employment opportunities through NHS. I'm currently actually speaking to you from Jersey, so they're one of the bigger clients that I worked with. I've actually implemented the EY Outreach Initiative on the island, so I'm currently here. The program is actually going on at the moment, so some of my team are leading on that. But outside of all of that, I'm at my core, I'm a faith-driven man. That's who I am. I love to go to the films, and actually as a quick little story, the bottom right picture, I had the opportunity to actually create and direct my own film in collaboration with NHS and Commonwealth Games, which was showcased at the IMAX. So it was weird being on a seat watching the IMAX screen with your film on there. So as much as we have all these, actually, let me just tell you about the bottom left picture as well. So we've done some work with the West Midlands Combined Authority as well, and you may have saw the image across Birmingham if you are based in Birmingham. As a pre-warning, this was post-lockdown. My face was a bit rounder because I ate a lot of angel slices. So this was just to kind of help increase employability. But outside of all the accolades, I don't do this to gloat, but I do this to kind of demonstrate that it wasn't always like this. So the Yeshua that you're seeing now, and the Yeshua that you're seeing with the awards, it didn't start off like that. So I'm going to play a game of spot Yeshua, because he's not as bearded as he is, as you can see me now. But this is a picture probably when I was in college. With some of my friends, I came from a community and a background in which I was around a lot of creative young people, a lot of people who utilize their creativity to do what we would tend to call criminal exploits. And I was in the middle of the spectrum. So although I was around it, I never got myself involved in it just because I know my mum would definitely have kicked me out. So I said, you know what, let me not get myself involved in it. But I was able to have the opportunity to be around it and actually see these young people for who they were. And it was interesting to me because at the heart of it, I would see media kind of vilify a lot of these young people, saying, you know what, villains, they deserve prison, they deserve A, B, and C. And I even saw schools saying, you know what, wow, these young people, they're utilizing their skill sets for negative exploits, so let's exclude them. And I was actually almost on the periphery of being excluded as well, not for the sake of, you know, engaging in criminality or anything like that, but just due to my engagement and my behavior. I was a bit of a chatty one every now and again. So transitioning from college into the corporate world was very, very new for me. I felt alienated. I stepped into EY, and the first thing I saw was a lack of young people that looked like myself, that sounded like myself, and that came from a community that I was familiar with. And I started to say to myself, all right, cool, well, how can I change that? And this is where I recognized that actually the power of creativity, if we was able to work with young people from these communities and actually teach them how they can channel their skill set into something positive, they will be the next leaders for tomorrow. They will scale the corporate space, the local authority space, the government spaces. But it's just about how we teach them how to use their skill sets that they have and transfer that into a positive light. So I made it my mission, being in EY, to create an initiative that helps support young people away from and out of this so-called school to prison pipeline. Now, I know we hear this phrase, school to prison pipeline, a lot. But to just break it down, it's a very interesting campaign that was done, I believe, in either, I think it was 2013. But statistically, one of the biggest things that stood out to me, we saw that in this campaign, they was putting it all across the tubes in London. We saw that 35 young people a day was getting excluded. And from a demographic point of view, we see that Gypsy and Romanian young people getting excluded a lot, as well as young Black Caribbean boys. And obviously, I experienced that because I saw it a lot. As I said, I was on the peripheral of that. But so I said to myself, being in EY, what can we do as EY to bridge a gap between corporate and community and to help disrupt the school to prison pipeline? And as I said earlier, I recognize the power of creativity. And this is a quote that I've written down just to kind of briefly go through. When I stepped into the corporate space, I thought there was a dichotomy between being creative and being corporate. I thought that the two couldn't be in tandem. But actually, in my first few months, I realized that that wasn't the case. I was able to create a short video advertisement to help attract and recruit new talent for the Business Support Center, utilizing my film studies expertise that I took from college. It worked really well. So that was one thing I was like, okay, well, creativity can work in a corporate space. Another thing that I realized is I was able to launch the EY Black Community Network in Birmingham within EY and do the first ever celebratory event. And I was like, okay, innovation can be used in a creative space. So when I began to reflect, I recognized that actually every single person has creativity. It transcends every single human mind, and everybody has a creative potential, but it's just about how we tap into that creativity and educate people to how to do it in the right space. So I took this kind of phenomenon around the power of creativity, and started to do a bit of studying into how it's used in the educational space. And one of the key findings that I realized was a report written by the National Association of Schoolmasters, Teachers Unions. They stipulated that creativity is one of the most important subjects to be taught. But I highlighted the thing in green just to give you a bit of context. It says that creative teaching and creative learning, which may be used to address challenging topics and themes, they can be used to address challenging topics and themes, such as sensitive issues around sexual violence, abuse, and the rights and responsibilities, including those around equality and social justice, sustainability, and global learning. So once I found this fact out, I said, okay, well, how can I utilize creativity to create a program to help, as I said, disrupt the school to prison pipeline, raise awareness around the dangers of criminality, support young people with their mental health, but ultimately address the educational attainment gap and support young people who are within that pipeline back into integrating back into school and to become successful benefactors in society. So this is where the EY outreach journey started. In 2019, I took my learning around creativity, my own personal lived experience, and how I've applied creativity in the corporate space. And I designed what was just meant to be a workshop. And I reached out to West Midlands Police and I said, listen, look, I want to utilize creative arts as an initiative to support young people in pupil referral units. Now, just as a side note, I'm not sure if you know a lot around pupil referral units, but statistically we hear that young people who go into pupil referral units are more likely to fall into detrimental or negative outcomes such as gang violence, knife crime, or I think it was the commissioner that said 40% of young people who end up in pupil referral units or excluded end up neat. So I said, I want to be able to work with these young people who are deemed as challenging, and I don't like using this term, but what people would title as hard to reach. I want to reach out to them through creativity. So West Midlands Police were like, let's do it. And I presented it to my manager, as you can see her in a lovely black frock standing in the middle. And I said, Wendy, I know I'm doing an apprenticeship right now. I know really and truly I should be focusing on my exams, but whilst I'm doing that, I really have a passion for supporting young people from what we call marginalized communities, and I want to be able to support them through creativity. Will I be able to do it? And I looked at her and she looked back at me, and we had like just a silent moment of just staring at each other for like 3 seconds. It felt longer. And she said, go ahead. And she gave me the thumbs up. And from there, we delivered a workshop to a school, a pupil referral unit called City of Birmingham School, and we did a lot of partnership work and multi-agency work. So we collaborated with the Lord Mayor of Birmingham. You can see her in a lovely gold chain. I can't lie, a lot of the young people was looking at it like it wasn't going to go home with her. We had to tell them to calm down. But she came, she shared her lived experience. We collaborated with Ultra Education, Aviard Inspires, and we did multi-partnership work to say, how can we utilize creativity to teach these young people around societal issues that they may come in contact with, but to raise awareness about it and actually raise their aspirations and allow them to understand their potential. And the power of this session was phenomenal, because these young people walked in and 5 minutes into the session, the floor coordinator from EY came to me and said, Yeshua, we've got to shut this down. Like, these young people are walking past the client rooms and swearing at our clients. I was like, give me 5 minutes, please. At the end of the session, that same person came back to me and said, what did you do? I'm like, what do you mean? He said, these same young people who came in swearing, cursing, blinding, there were the same young people who came out saying thank you and actually talking about things that they've learned and actually reflecting on their mental health and just speaking to me about it. And that's when myself and EY had a light bulb moment. We said, if we were utilizing creative intervention as a tool, if we did that in a space of 5 hours, imagine if we can create more of a sustainable program where we collaborate with organizations across the West Midlands, bring in their expertise, but ultimately create a model that supports these young people in understanding their potential, the dangers of the things that they may be involved in, but actually give them access to equal opportunity across the West Midlands. Imagine what we can do nationally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. So from there, this is where we took what was meant to be a workshop and turned it into a actual model. whether you call that service program, I realized this journey. I said, in order for us to successfully disrupt the cycle, we must firstly understand that young people, especially those who come from high impact areas or areas that are deemed as socially disorganized, they have a higher propensity to be exposed to risk factors such as adverse child experiences. So they may be coming from families where there's child abuse, etc. That could lead them to exclusion, etc., and prison. We may not be able to mitigate these risk factors, but what we can do is act as a safety pool and be an exit strategy. If these young people do fall victim to exclusion, what we do is aim to provide intervention tools to help them recover and integrate them back into society. And this was a model that we created and we went live with in 2021, last year, just to kind of hone in on what this EY outreach methodology looks like. The primary focus is how we use creative arts such as drama, music, English, anything creative you can think of, to create an unconventional curriculum to actually help raise awareness and support young people's educational development. But whilst we utilize creative intervention, we partner young people up with EY professionals and mentors from the community so that they can actually have gain insight of lived experience from professionals and young people from their community whilst going through a program. We also, as I said earlier, we also believe in the power of collaboration. So we work in partnership with organizations across the region to say, we don't want to just deliver this program by ourselves. We want you to step in to support us. So once our program comes to the end, or the life cycle of our program comes to an end, the young people can say, well, I've worked with this organization and I can actually continue to go to that in my community. So it's raising awareness of the things that happen in the community. And then the final thing is showcasing talent. So the key thing is these young people could go through programs, but if we're not giving them a platform to demonstrate the potential that they have and show it back to the wider community, they're not able to recognize that. So we are enable them to understand their potential by allowing them to showcase their talent to the wider community and actually create things that local authorities can use to actually amplify young people's voices. So I know a lot of you may be thinking, okay, it's really cool to understand about these interventions and a tool, but what does this program actually look like? I'm going to answer that right now for you. So this is our first ever EY outreach model that we created in 2021. It was split into 3 phases. So kind of remembering all of those interventions that I mentioned prior in the previous slide. We took these interventions and these deliverables and we placed them into a 3-stage model, in which phase 1, we partnered with an organization called Circle Learning Limited. Circle Learning Limited work with young future leaders between the ages of 18 to 25, and they partner them with EY professionals and they train them up to become professional coaches. So all of these young people, we worked with 10 young people, 18 to 25 year olds. They got a level 1 qualification, and the EY professionals, 10 of them got level 1 coaching qualifications. Once we upskill and educate these the EY professional and young future leader around coaching, we put them onto phase 2, which was the intricately designed model that EY primarily designed. Phase 2 is it is a 7 to 10 week program. Last year was just 7 weeks, in which we work in collaborations with school as an integral part of the school day to take young people out of school to go on to a once a week session in which we educate. We actually do a tailored program to understand the needs of the cohort. So say, for example, if the cohort said there is a massive need around mental health, we would create a curriculum and utilize creative arts to educate them around that. So over the period of 7 weeks last year, we worked with a school called King Solomon International Business School. We took the EY professional, the young future leader who was trained as a coach, and we put them in a trio with a young person between the age of 11 to 16. And the EY professional and young future leader acted as a support mechanism for the young person from King Solomon International Business School. And they supported this young person through this 7-week program where we taught them about mental health, the dangers of criminality, and personal and professional development. But as I said, we utilize creative mediums such as drama and music to teach them about these concepts and these societal issues. And whilst they're going through this 7-week program, they actually create their own short film, which is showcased back to their families and their friends, but ultimately also used by local authorities as a training tool and by their schools. So these young people know that not only have I gone through a program and I've been supported by an EY professional and a young future leader, and I've been able to gain some insight and gain lived experience from them, but I've also be able to apply my potential and actually demonstrate that I have skills to create my own short film, directing it, starring it, create the music, and actually it's being utilized by the wider community. But the beauty of this, again, is a multi-agency work. So we didn't do this by ourselves. We worked with Hezron Brown, who runs More Talk, More Action. Which is a mentoring company. He's also the pride of Britain. So he came in and shared his lived experience, delivered criminal intervention workshops, mental health workshops. We collaborated with Birmingham Minds to also deliver mental health workshops. We took the young people out of the spaces that they're in, and we worked with Birmingham City Council to actually introduce them to the factory in Longbridge, so they knew more about what's going on in the community. West Midlands Police came down to host stores around cadets. So a lot of the core ethos of this program is again, education and development and personal development, but ultimately access to opportunity. And then following this program, the most important and crucial part is, how do we show this is trauma informed? So we're supporting these young people, but once the lifespan of the program ends, how do we continue to sustain the support? So the coaching trio continues. So as I kind of just flick through this is pictorially what last year looked like. So as I said, it's a session once a week for 7 weeks. It's an integral part of the school day. So young people who are at a risk of falling into exclusion or are currently excluded, they are taken out of school for a day, and we support them through this program once a week. And at the end of that, they have an amazing award ceremony to celebrate them. And I think the beauty of what we realized last year, albeit it was just a kind of like a proof of concept and a pilot, the impact was phenomenal. So the teachers came to us and said, we don't know how you engaged a cohort of our 10 young people over the span of 7 weeks for 5 hours a day. And the fact is, we had 9 out of 10 of the young people who went throughout the full program. Sadly, one of them got excluded due to external issues. We saw that about 5 of the young people, not 5 young people, about 80% of the young people actually ended up getting into extracurricular activity, and I'll explain this very shortly. So once we actually connected these young people to other opportunities through our program, there's a few of the young people that actually attend my Dear Youngers program that I run outside. Some of the young people performed for EY, some of them went to Aston Performance Arts, so they actually connected to extracurricular activity within the community, which was a success outcome for us. And this is the image of what took place last year at the showcase. So as you can see, we had 20 young people who got celebrated. And I think the beauty I just want to highlight is this young lady here. You can see her with bright fuzzy hair. Teacher said she was on the peripheral of being excluded, not because of necessarily her behavior, but her lack of engagement. So they actually said, let's try to put her on the program and actually see how she does it. They didn't think that she would actually go through the program, but the power of creative intervention and unlocking potential, she went through the full program. She was actually one of the leaders who was leading on creating the short film, and she was so phenomenal in the acting and taking her learning around mental health and criminal intervention and applying it through film as an intervention. She was actually spotted within the showcase as one of the best actors, and she got the opportunity to be signposted to a drama school. So one of the charities that were present said, you know what, we want to work with your parents to get you into drama school. So we actually was able to see the impact, not only from a personal level, but ultimately from a opportunity level as well. So that's what took place last year. And just to kind of bring it to a close very shortly, what's next? So we saw what took place last year, and it kind of caught like a wildfire across EY. And we said, imagine how we was able to do so much social value impact with the young people, but ultimately how we worked with the schools to help shape their culture and how they support their young people. So we've now, EY Outreach has now turned from not only just a program, but more of an integral part of the EY business, in which we work in collaboration with different clients to support them with their social value work. So currently, our second program that we're doing, as I said, is in Government of Jersey. Completely different culture. They got the Jersey don't deal with knife crime and gang violence. So what we do is we work with government representatives or the clients to understand their needs. We sit down with them. We do a lot of discovery work with the young people. We create bespoke and tailored curriculums, and then we actually go live with the program. So we're doing a 10-week program around mental health and reducing exclusions with the young people in Jersey. It's been so successful, that they're trying to implement it across the full island and across the schools, across every single school across the island. But I think the highlight now is the work that we're doing with Birmingham City Council and West Midlands Police. So one of the key, and these are my final slides, one of the beautiful things I love about this early intervention and prevention partnership is that the power, as I said, of collaboration. So originally we was meant to be doing two programs, one for West Midlands Police and one from Birmingham City Council. But after conversations, we recognized that in order to help improve public confidence in the council and in police, we should do a joint partnership and actually work with young people from high impact areas, work with their parents, and work with just the general community to actually build rapport and understand what's going on across the community, and actually get to know the neighborhood policing teams, get to know the opportunities that are being delivered by the city council. So we are going to be delivering a 3-stage program from January through to March, in which we're going to be delivering community engagement sessions where we're going to have an intergenerational approach, bringing parents, as I said, together with their young people and actually getting them in a room with some of the council representatives and some West Midlands police representatives. So some of the police constables and leaders to have conversations and actually to break ice. We recognize that there's a lot of trauma intergenerationally that's going on in communities where parents are saying to their young people, if you get in problems, don't go to the police, because when I went to the police, I got abused in custody, etc. And what we're trying to do is really dismantle that narrative. We're trying to work with young people to say, in light of everything that's going on with WMP, we are trying to help change the culture. And instead of resorting to the roads or gang violence, we want you to, if you ever get in any problems, to go to your neighborhood policing team. And we want to provide this as a platform for them to build relationships, so they have a reason to actually say, well, I've met, the trauma officer, Mark, and because he worked with me through the EY outreach program, I want to go to him and I don't want to pick up a knife. And that is the ethos. So we're going to do community engagement sessions, bringing everybody together. We're going to be doing a series of those through a 10-week program. So the 10-week program is similar to what I explained earlier, in which we once a day a week we're going to be working with Bartley Green School, providing a creative intervention program, connecting young people to different opportunities across the city, whilst facilitating a program around raising awareness around the dangers of crime, improving mental health and personal development, and then after that providing sustained support. So the continuing the community engagement sessions, and the outputs are the following. The young people will create 2 short films, which they will showcase back to their families and friends. We hope that these films will then be utilised by Birmingham City Council as a training tool or something to help amplify the voice of the young people, but ultimately it will be ingrained in their schools as well. And another key deliverable, as I said, is the community engagement session. So not only are we going to be supporting the young people directly, but we're going to also be working with parents and the wider tenants of the city. And this is my final slide. I have spoken a lot. Thank you for listening to me. the impact ladder. So as much as we talk about programs, as much as we say, you know what, we want to work with young people and we want to help parents, etc., it's more about how can we create a holistic approach that supports, that creates, shapes the culture. So how can we work with the police force to help change their culture and how they engage with families and young people and how they're perceived? How can we help kind of melt the ice between communities and police and bring them together? The second thing is, how can we work with young people and families to build trust, rapport, and transparency, utilizing creative intervention, a platform to bring everybody together to actually promote active citizenship, so that families and young people are saying, rather than actually opposing the police, let me go into the community and actually be a voice, to actually say, let's stop crime, etc. Another thing is around community cohesion. And then the final thing from a local authority point of view is, how do we actually create sustainable change? So once we are working with these young people and they're connected to programs, how can we actually support them as they transition through their life, connecting them to other opportunities across the region? So thank you so much for listening. Please do let me know if there's any questions.